Okay, here we go. Setting up the live stream. And we're good. Okay. Go for it, David. What's cooking your brain? What can we do for you?
On the sweet button, like Gary said, tell colon and then the phone number for the link, which I did assume it was something similar to that, but I didn't know what to put in. Can you do a similar thing with WhatsApp for a phone?
I have no clue. Did you Google it?
Not yet, no.
So what David is about is he posted on the community and he asked, how can you link to it was a telephone number, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Got that. And he wanted to do it with Sweet Button. Now there are, if you're using Foundation 6, which I think David just wants some features of Sweet Button, because I know he does use Foundation 6. I just want to show everyone that there is, sorry, I'm launching RapidWeaver here.
It's gone down.
All right. If you go to where all the buttons are, there's actually a telephone button, right?
And I know that one works.
Yep. And so this one works, right? And you can put your telephone number right in there. Okay. And then it will, works great on mobile. It actually works on Mac as well. If you have, configured with your iPhone, it'll actually call from your phone and all that jazz too. It's kind of cool. Works well. And you were also asking about the email button. And so there's an email button here as well that allows you to do all kinds of stuff with like address, subject. You can even provide the email body. So anyway, so easy stuff there. But what David wanted is the ability to do a WhatsApp. And so I don't know, let's see. WhatsApp link HTML. I don't know, let's see. WhatsApp link in HTML code. So it's looking like this. So you do I don't use WhatsApp, so I guess wa.me is a WhatsApp thing, and then you put in your number. I don't know, verify if this wa.me is actually a WhatsApp thing and not like some hacker company that's okay, there you go. That looks like it's WhatsApp. So yeah, I guess you have a number with WhatsApp. I don't use WhatsApp.
Well, it'd be your same phone number on an iPhone, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I don't know. It looks like you could. So then you could do the number, and then you can also provide the text as well. It looks like.
Oh, so super. I'll look that up. Thank you.
Yeah. So I just searched for WhatsApp link HTML, and there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
The only detail when you do that is that the number doesn't have to have the zeros at the beginning. So, for instance, I think UK is 0044, the plus 44.
Plus 44, yeah.
Yeah, get rid of the plus, just go 44 and the rest of the number.
Right. Oh, okay. There you go. Good tips right there. I have resisted the urge to get on WhatsApp. A lot of people say it's awesome, but I don't need another app, messaging app to use. Okay.
Thank you.
No problem.
The MacBook Pro arrived today earlier, so I'm setting that up.
Sweet. Davide just got his as well, right? He's loving it.
Mine's delayed for another 2 months. I ordered
delayed for 2 months? Oh, no.
I ordered it over a month ago, and it was supposed to be here this week, actually. And they just sent me an email. Sorry, not till the beginning of July.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, really.
It's not only Mexico. I feel better now.
We ordered it on Monday, and it arrived. No, Tuesday, and it arrived today. So,
wow, lucky.
And it didn't cost me a penny.
Well, I've got a question.
Sure.
It's an issue. Positioning in mobile, on desktop, and I assume tablet. I haven't bothered to look. The header is fine, but when you move it down to mobile, the tagline moves down into the graphic. I'll show you what I mean. And so I'm wondering this is a challenge because I'm not really that, I guess I have to share screen, right?
Yep. Or if you want to give me the URL, I'll share my screen.
Oh yeah. Okay. Livingmind.com.
Okay. Let me go ahead. I'll start sharing my screen. Livingmind.com.
Yeah, I decided to throw up really something simple since my old one was from 2014 and I never bothered with it. Okay. When you shrink it down, the information architecture and communications design, you can see how it goes down into the into the image. Is there a way to handle that? Now that's with a big white duck sidebar stack. Is there a way to handle that so that on mobile, it maybe I can redesign it somehow?
So you're using the sidebar stack? It's a header pro stack, no?
Oh, hold on, let me check.
Yeah, that's a header pro, it looks like.
Oh, header pro with a segment. That's what he calls it.
Yeah.
Segment. Easy peasy. I like them. Easy to use. I'm not sure how to actually recreate that using the built-in Foundation 6. So I do tend to go back to what I'm familiar with.
Sure.
But
right, and essentially what you're doing is you have a header, Living Mind, and then this sub segment. You wanted it to be a little bit away from the header. I assume, right?
Yes. And I'm happy with where it is on desktop, but on mobile. So the positioning, how to control positioning using, I don't know if it can be done with the big white duck stack or whether.
So if you wanted to keep using Header Pro, probably the only way you could do it is to hide this one on desktop and to show a different one on mobile that has different settings.
Okay. Challenge. How would you accomplish this with F6?
Sure. Let's do it.
Okay. Because I still don't get them. The positioning, all of this stuff. It's just.
Sure. Let's do it.
I'm not doing much stuff anymore. So to tell you the truth, I don't have the opportunity to put it to work and really dig in.
Sure.
So, but I sure would like to know more about positioning.
Sure.
I would say that's impossible.
You would think this is impossible? Okay. So in order to do header segments, okay, there's a couple things that we could do. Okay. First, I guess I'll start off with the least amount of the least technical implementation. Okay. So I'm just going to do, this is my header, and then we're going to add a small segment, which is small segment header. Okay. And let's just quickly preview this. So I have, here, let's change that small segment. It's like really small and it's really gray. Let's tweak it. So we want, we're just going to make the small segment red so we can really see it. And then we're going to make it a little bit bigger. We're going to do 9. All right. So we have a header, and then we have our second segment of the header. Okay. Now, traditionally, this was used to be smaller, but I made it 90% the size. Now let's make it a little bit different. So it's So, and I did that in site styles. So in site styles, you can control the small color by default, and then the small size. Now the small size is a percentage of whatever this is, right?
Okay.
So this particular one is an H3. So the small segment is going to be 90% of whatever the size in H3 is.
One
right?
question, Joe, just looking at that, how in the world would you know that the word small in site styles actually referred to small segment header? How do you tie those in? It's like,
so I mean, I have it here.
Osmosis?
Well, I mean, this comes from H1, from Foundation 1. I had the same exact thing. So,
yeah, I know. It's if anybody uses this in
right,
in
and I mean,
Foundation 1.
in header you have small segment. So I mean, small, yeah.
So wherever you see the word small, we're supposed to dig into Joe's brain and know, oh, by the way,
it's well, you know,
there we go.
Well, now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Yes.
Okay. So there we go. So here we have the small color, and so you can have the small color again. It's all grouped with the headers.
Yeah.
And then here the sizing is all grouped with the headers as well.
Okay.
So there we go. So now we have this small segment on our header. Okay. Did I make it? I made it a little bit smaller. There we go. Okay. So, but in your example, you wanted like this to be a little bit off and kind of on its own a little bit, right?
Right. So
Okay.
can you apply padding and margins and stuff to just that small segment header?
Yep. Okay.
Oh,
So let's go ahead and let's add in. Now I guess you could do padding and margin. I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to use a transform. Actually, here I think padding and margin maybe is a little less scary for people. So maybe we'll do that.
it'd be interesting to start off with the real simple for dummies approach, and then maybe
Okay.
take the next step of what you can do if it adds more.
I'm not even sure margin. Did you use margin and padding in Header Pro? Is that how you used it? I'm not sure. I'm not sure that will work, but let's test it out. Okay, so
Yeah.
let's add a class to our header. So I'm just going to call it my header. Okay. So in here now, I don't want to target. I only want to target the small segment in the header. Okay. And do I have? I don't know if I have small in here. I don't think I do. Nope. Okay, so we're gonna have to be a little bit clever here. So we're gonna do class of my header, and then I'm gonna do space small because I wanna only target the small segment inside of my header.
Okay.
Okay. And here, let's start adding some stuff. Let's just do something big, 160 pixels. Let's see what
So
that does.
just by adding the word small to the class, Foundation 6 knows it's only going to target the small segment header part.
Exactly. It's space small. So what this does is it says find the class my header and then find the small segment inside of it.
How
Okay.
would you have known? How would you have known to do that?
You ask.
Now,
Yep. There we go.
at 10 o'clock
I mean,
at
so
night.
how would you have known? Okay. So let's look at what this does. All right. So here is my H3. We see I have H3 and the class is my header. You see that, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And then here is the text that's a part of the header. And then here I have a small segment, right? So this small is the actual tags, right? The HTML tags.
Yeah.
So here, what we're doing is I want to find everything that has the class of my header, and then we're targeting the small things inside of it.
Interesting. So because it's built into the code of the header part and tagged as small, that's how you can add it to the class.
Exactly. Okay.
Ah.
Now, I mean, that's pretty much what Header Pro does, to be honest with you. I mean, it doesn't use small, it uses, other things, right?
Right.
But if we were to just target that, if we look at him, he just has, here's your main one segment, here's another segment. Okay. And so you have two different segments here. And we could do that with Foundation 6 as well. It's not all done in the settings. And yes, I mean, something like this is a little bit outside of, just adding it in, and you might need to know a little bit, but it's definitely possible. Okay. But let's get back to this one example.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now we have small. I added some margin. If you notice, it only added it to the sides, though, it looked like. So I wasn't sure that was going to work. Inspect. Actually, yeah, it added it to everything, but okay, it didn't shift it down. I actually wasn't expecting it to shift it down. Okay, so margin does add some space between the main header and the small segment.
Right.
Okay, but it doesn't move it down, and that's really what you wanted, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm gonna scratch that, and we're gonna go back to my original idea, which I think is the way I would have done it, which is something called a transform. Okay, and all a transform does is it allows you just to move things around the page from where they currently are. Okay, I think transforms are simpler than a position swatch, which you could use this with a position swatch as well. but I think that's more confusing. Transforms are a little bit easier to use. Okay. So we're going to put my header class in there, and we're going to go small. All right. So now we're targeting a small segment. And what do we want to do? So in transform, we can move things. So I want to move them. And I'm going to move it, I don't know, let's say 50 pixels over and 50 pixels down. Right? If you saw that little black square, it moved, right? Let's, whoop. Oh, what? That didn't work? I was expecting that.
Refresh.
Look at that. I was expecting that to work. Do we need a perspective? I don't think so.
Have you tried the any key?
Force it. Use the hammer.
Hold on, baby.
Use Thor's hammer.
Why didn't that work? I was totally expecting that to work.
Do you need more content on the page?
Oh, it could. Yeah, you could be there. Look at that. Hold on.
Mm.
Actually, when I put display block, it's completely gone. That is craziness. Check that out.
Jody broke foundation.
No, this isn't foundation. It's just sometimes, yeah, that's interesting.
I'll tell you, this to me is one of the most frustrating aspects of using any kind of web development platform, unless you're working with a template.
Yeah.
I'm so used to the old days of a PageMaker and InDesign. You just put it on the damn page, you know, and it gets where you want it to go. So using all of these sideways tricks and the classes and the targeting and the this and the that, at some point, it's like, you just want to throw up your hands. I don't know what Isaiah's long-term plans are for Stacks, but if there's any way to construct almost like a grid system where you could then take blocks and things and drag and drop them, and simply by moving it, the system calculates your margin, your positioning, all of this stuff. It's all done automatically. I mean,
so there's a problem with that, actually, Jody. So the problem with that is, well, yes. So let me just say that I agree that something like that could be nice someday to have some sort of positioning system. However, it is also, by doing that, by just allowing you to drag and drop, and then you'd have to do that drag and drop on multiple devices. So you'd have to drag it on mobile, define where it is, then drag it on desktop, define where it is, right? So you'd have to design your site potentially 3 or more times because you'd have to position everything, right?
Well, why is that? Isn't that done now automatically? If you're designing a Rapid Weaver project and you drop something on there, it's automatically, usually for most things, going to work on desktop as well as mobile. I mean, that's the beauty of some of this.
Yes,
So
and that's because, you know, developers like me try to make it, as easy as possible and try to do a lot of those things for you automatically, right? Yeah. But another thing that we do that you probably don't even realize is like standardizing. So like when we define, spacing and margins and things like that, a lot of times, we're using a standard set so that all your margin, your spacing throughout your page looks good. And if some users, now you're probably an exception because you are talented at designing things, but a lot of users, if they were to drag and drop and position things where they want, it would just be chaos because they would be defining, this over here would have a spacing of 20 pixels and down here there would be 16 pixels and over here would be 24. And it would be like nothing would be spaced properly and it would not look 100%. Okay.
Okay.
What you
Leave
did
my
But
doing
anyway,
with
we're getting down
publishing.
a rabbit hole.
Okay, so it seems like within the Foundation 6 stacks that what I'm trying to do to correct that spacing for mobile is not possible. Then using the big white duck stack, the header and the segments, is there a way to, I'm trying to remember if he's actually got a different set of settings for mobile. I'd have to go back and check. So how do I correct that so that mobile display is better?
Could I
So
just
again,
suggest
you
one
would
thing?
use the visibility stack,
The
and you can
visibility?
hide the one that you have there now on mobile,
Yeah.
and then show a different one on mobile that has a different setting.
So I would create a separate header stack.
Yep.
Separate header stack.
Yes. So essentially, you would do this. Now, I'm sure I could probably figure out how to do this in Foundation 6, but it's not as simple. It doesn't have baked-in settings, like Header Pro does. Okay, so let me show you how you would do this.
Did you try to force it, Joe?
No, the transforms aren't even taken. It's for some reason the small segment doesn't even take the transforms, period. It's weird. I was expecting it not to. I'm sure if I used a position swatch, that would probably make it all the difference. And maybe after I show Jody this, we can play around if no one has any other questions.
Maybe it'd even be easier to have two different headers and forget the whole
I was
idea.
just about to suggest.
Yeah, you could do that too, and that could be totally the easier way to go about this, right? So, let me show you this visibility thing, so we're not hopping and jumping all over the place. Just really quick, because it's a simple concept that I think a lot of times some people try to, they try not to use visibility. And then they spend hours of time trying to make it so it looks great on everywhere, creating either swatches or doing other things where just a simple visibility is okay. Like sometimes, especially with menus, some people are like, I'm trying to morph this menu I have this crazy menu on desktop and I'm trying to morph it to look better on mobile. And I'm like, well, just hide it and do a different menu on mobile. Like, just make your life simple. It's okay. So what we're going to do, let me go back to visibility. So here's the visibility stack. Okay. It's all with the columns and the layout stacks. So you would do this, right? And then this one would be, let's say this one we show for medium and large. Okay. And you would just copy paste that. And then this one is, or we'll just do a mobile menu. Okay. And then this one is going to be, show for small only, right? So now you have two, and if we preview that, so here, this is the one that's on large, and if we go all the way down, stupid Safari, I hate that it doesn't go all the way down to drives me nuts. So if we go to responsive mode, there it goes, it says mobile menu.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So and then at that point, your header pro settings can be different on the mobile one, obviously. Right?
Yeah. Okay. I'll fool with that. I think that's better, is using two headers and designing one for mobile. So you use two visibility stacks, stuck one, and then stuck the mobile in the other.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
I'll fool around with that. Yeah.
And someone had a great comment. Why does it need to be one header? You could do two. I mean, that kind of is a, H1, H2 sort of thing, so, that's definitely, an easy solution as well. So if we did H1 for this, let's take out the small segment. We have this, and this is my sub header. Okay. And then this one was an H2. Okay. And let's just do like color alert. Okay. Just so it's something.
Yeah.
And this is, let's do sub title on this one. And we'll just leave that one as the main. Okay. So now let's preview this. All right. So I have two headers, header 1, header 2, right?
Yeah.
Let's get out of responsive design mode. All right. And essentially this one, you wanted it over here. Okay. So here, let's try this transform thing now. I did subtitle, I think. That is fucking crazy. What am I doing wrong here? Where is that getting transformed to? 50
Your perspective is at 500 pixels. Is it above the page?
No, I'm not changing Z.
Is the overflow hidden?
Oh.
Ooh,
Oh, Jesus Christ. That was probably what was going on with the small as well.
is that checked by default?
Yeah, overflow hidden's on by default for containers. And there it is.
Wow.
Man, who said that? Gaston? Good
Yes, it
job.
was me.
Bravo.
Who knew?
Mhm.
Bravo. Jesus
Free
Christ.
stock for you, Gaston. Good job.
Thank you.
There, okay, now I gotta see if that was the problem with this one. I bet you that was. All right, so now we got there. Let's put in my header again. Jesus. I'm such a rookie sometimes. Look at that, guys. See? Man. So if we go back to my small header, small. Okay. Nope, that's still but here I'm interested to see. I think it needs in order for transforms to work, we need it to be a display block, which most people probably wouldn't even know, but let's see if that works. That's what it will do. Okay, interesting. Good job. But so yeah.
I've seen a couple of different ways of how to approach it, different ideas and how to work it, but that's always a thing with me is real proper positioning. Usually in all your videos, you're keeping it simple. It's just blocks of stuff, but I like to really refine it. So knowing what tools are available to me, both within F6 or Big White Duck or anywhere, and how to refine that is always a challenge.
I do really like the idea of whoever said that, of having the two headers. That would give you a lot of, it kind of removes a lot of the the details of that small segment and trying to rip it out and move it and stuff like that. Whereas, just having it as two, and just an idea of here, let me set this back up again. Sorry.
Makes maintenance and debugging easier.
Yes. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Right? Okay.
Keep it simple and smart these days.
Oh, there we go. That's a much more polite way of saying it. Okay. You're so polite. You must be from Canada. No.
Originally Scotland.
Okay. What was I doing? Oh, we were doing transforms. So we have this subtitle. All right. And I did move it down, but let's move it like over here. Let's build out this little container that she wanted. So let's do alt. I'm going to add some classes to this. So we're going to do h:50 vh to make it 50% height of the browser. And we're going to do bg black. Okay. So there we go. So now we got our main header, and we want to, so this one, what it did, right? Let's remember let's look at this, what it is first, default. Right. So right now I have my banner, okay, and then I have a header, and I have my other header, and I want this one over here. Okay. So there's many ways we could do it. We can either just move it from its existing position, okay, and transfer it over here. And we could do that easily with transforms. So when I apply this transform, it's going to move it. Here we have move it 50 pixels to the left and 50 pixels to the right. Let's say for horizontal, though, I want to move it all the way over. So let's do let's do a percentage. Let's do 100%. And Y, we're going to move it 50 pixels down. That's okay. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, that's 100% way over there. So maybe we just do, let's do like 250 pixels over. Okay, maybe that's not enough. You can do 500 pixels. So there we go. Right. And maybe 50 pixels down is maybe too much. So we go 20. Okay. So there we go. It's always going to be right there. But on mobile, not going to look so great.
Yeah.
Right. So what can we do? Okay. So then responsiveness is baked into every single swatch. Okay. So I'm going to copy this transform. Okay. And on this one, we're going to say, small only. Okay. And I'm going to take that X or the move X and make that 300. Well, let's do small and medium so that I don't have to go into responsive design mode. Okay. So there it goes.
Okay.
Okay. So I have this, and then and as you saw it shifted over right on desktop, but then the swatch, the style changed when I told this swatch, this media query, to apply this style to small and medium.
Okay.
Okay. So that's how we can use swatches to customize our styles for particular devices.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great question, Jody. Thank you very much.
Someone-
Here's another fun one, actually. Okay. Just to kind of go off. So Jody, you had you have two different colors here, right? You have this, and let's say you really wanted this to be one header. You don't want it to be two headers. You want it to be one. I can understand that. And you want them to be two different colors. So how do we do that? So I'm going to paste your code in your header in here, and let's do it. Okay. So first off, you'll notice that you have it's on a new line, right? Okay. So what we can do is you could put in just a BR tag.
What's BR?
BR is a HTML break. So in a header, you can just put a BR tag. Okay, it's just greater than BR, less than, or less than BR greater than. Okay. So
Off the counter.
that is just how would you know that? Well, now you know. Okay.
Standard HTML.
Yep. It's just, this is pretty basic HTML. Okay. So, you can
I'd
do
say
a lot of cool
Google it
stuff with some
and-
basic HTML. So BR is one of them, or you can just add a new line into a header.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you Google it and add H3 after the what you're looking for, it will pop right up in an HTML design screen.
There we go.
Okay. How would you know how to offset then that second, what comes after the BR and communication design?
Let's do, so first off, let's deal with the colors. Okay. So this is going to require small bit of code. Okay. So we're going to create our own small segment. Okay. I guess you could do this with a small segment, but I'm just going to do a span, and we're going to give this particular snippet its own class. Okay. And let me do this. So I know this is probably super small for you guys. Let me go ahead and let me open up a text editor so we can actually see what I'm doing here a little bit bigger.
And this is the easy way to do this?
Well, I didn't say
I
that.
can see I'm delighting Stephen over there.
I didn't say that, but
the fast way.
It's the proper way. Okay. And it's not rocket science. I mean, let's do this.
Well.
If I can type.
Oh
Let's
man.
make this bigger. All right, and let's get some syntax highlighting so we can see some stuff in here. All right. I'm just going to call a segment. Okay. Header segment. All right. So here I have my my header. Okay. And what I did is I surrounded this bit here that we wanted to be a different color. Okay. I just put it in a span. Okay. You can add spans to text all you want. Okay. This is a very powerful thing. You can do this in normal text and paragraphs if you want to highlight a particular word or whatever. So if you just want to put in a span, and then you can give it a class. Now the class just makes it a little bit easier. We can do this without this class as well. Okay. In fact, does the class scare anybody here?
Moderately.
Moderately.
I guess it depends on what class.
Well,
Okay. Well, let's do this. Let's do this way, and then I'll show you how, if the class scares you. Jody, does that make you less scared?
no, it's just that I know you're going down this rabbit hole, Joe, of showing different ways to doing this, but it's geeking out to the level where it's not usable for me, pretty much. So that I was looking for the built-in simple ways, which is why I always like, you highlight it, you get the color thing, you get the color dropper, and you color it. You know, it's just, it's a visual way to do something, a simple way to do something without getting into the code.
Okay.
You see. So to me, anytime you can give that approach to more people, you're really doing a service.
Fair enough. So let's go ahead and I will keep the class in then, since it scares you with or without. So we'll leave it in. Okay. So let's just copy this. And I'm going to put that in my header. Okay. Doesn't look any different here yet. Okay. What we're going to do is I'm going to add up here, we're going to do a font color. Okay. And the class that I added was header segment. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to target that class, and we can give it color. As we see that in edit mode. You can also use your swatch colors as well, right? So if you want to give it success color, which is all the colors that are defined inside site styles. Okay. So that way you're using standardized colors instead of everything being its own custom different color. And if you want to change it, it's a little bit easier now. Okay. So that's an easy way to target that. Okay. So now we have this and we have that. Okay. Now you want to indent this, correct?
Yeah.
Well, now that this particular element has its own class, we can easily target that. Okay. So let's just go ahead and add some padding to it. So I'm going to go padding. We're going to target the header segment class, and let's just add 16 pixels. And there it goes.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I see what you're doing now within the bounds of F6. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all I did is I added my own class to this little bit of text. And now because I have a class, I can easily style them. I can change the color. I can add padding to it. You can do all kinds of other stuff.
All right. And I would still have to resort to the visibility issue for the mobile.
Yes, if you wanted to use the header pro, but like I said here, I was using the transforms, and in this particular example, and I created two different transform swatches, but this particular one here is on mobile, is small and tablet only.
Oh, so is it the same concept, the visibility with transform? I mean, it's similar.
So it's somewhat similar, yeah. It's a little more efficient because I only need one header on my page now. I don't need two, right? So this way is just a little bit more efficient, which is why we were saying this was the better way, quote unquote. Okay.
Do you have a video on the transform on the F6?
Yes, I do. Yep. Yeah, on the foundationstacks.com/demo. There's I think that's the transform swatch is a part of the swatch pack. But there is a video on it. Okay. And if you want, I can save this off and I can put this in the I'll post the link to the download of this on the community on this event. So where this live stream was, I'll put the download link to this page right here afterwards. Okay.
Okay. So it's part of this. It's part of the swatch pack. It's not part of the basic.
Yeah, the transform. Anything that has this little plus button, and it's probably small for you. Anything that has this plus button, it is a swatch pack stack.
Okay.
But there are other ways. If you didn't have a swatch pack, like there are so many thousands of ways to do stuff, right? You could use a position swatch to position this as well. So many
Yes.
different ways to do
Would,
it.
would you say that when anybody, a new person or beginner is approaching this and they don't have the swatch packs, they just have the basics, that the easiest way to begin to understand how to position elements would be to use the positioning?
Yeah, so here, let's go ahead and I'll do another example with the position swatch. Okay. So I'll do a set. Well, so we have both examples here. I'll just title this one with, what was I doing? Subtitle. Here, let's do position, or we'll do subtitle 2. Okay. Or subtitle POS. There we go. So let's preview that. Okay, so here's my subtitle 2. This is my example down here. This one up here, we use the transform. Okay, this one down here, I will use a position swatch. Okay. Now, if you notice down here, I still have all the colors and the little indentation because classes are the same, right? So that's nice. I don't need to restyle all of that. So let's go ahead and add a position swatch. Position. Okay. And we want to position this header, this subtitle POS. Okay. Now one thing, because we want to position this, and we're going to position it relative to a parent. Okay.
The container is the parent.
Yes, the container here. So in order to do that, if I want to position this header relative to this container, the one key part here is we need to set this container here, and tell it that, hey, container, you are now positioned relative. We want you to be relative to something else inside of you. Okay. So we need to tell it that. That's an important part of the position swatch. Okay. And I think if we wanted it to be the columns, I think there's also position relative on all columns in container styles. Okay. So this container, I've told it, Mr. Container, you are now position relative. You are in charge of any positioned children inside of you. Okay. So we're going to go in here, and by default, this is going to be relative to the browser. It's going to be fixed. We don't want that in this case. We want it relative to a parent. Okay. And the parent, we defined what the parent was by making it position relative. So now, that's all the hard part, setting those checkboxes. Okay. Now we can set where we want it to be. So let's do it a percentage. Let's do top 50% and maybe left 50%. All right, let's do like 30%. I didn't think we want it that far over. All right, let's preview that. So at this point, it's going to be positioned relative to, here, let's give this particular one a different color background. Ooh, that's a horrible one.
Joe, is position relative, is that a synonym for parent then?
Yes. Well, yeah. So whatever that your parent is, whatever above it is set to be position relative. Okay. So here I have this blue box is my container. Okay. And we set it to be top 50%, left 30%. And that position is the top left corner of your content. So the top left corner is going to be at 50%, or top 50% and left 30%. So it's at 50% the height and 30% over is this corner right here. I don't think that you kind of wanted it a little bit up. So I think top 50% was a little much.
And that's relative to the top left corner of the parent.
Exactly. That's relative to the top left corner of the parent.
That's very helpful, this explanation.
Okay. So as you see there, you know, and we might want to, and again, let's say we're getting smaller, maybe you really don't want this to break lines like that, you know? So what can we do? Okay, well, let's say we love that position on everything, but then once we get down to this, it's a little bit off, right? So we could then tweak that, create a copy, set this one to be for small and medium, okay? And then we can set the left to be 20%. So there we go.
Mm-hmm. So you just have to fool with it. Now, let me ask you this, Joe. I have found the built-in RW simulation to be absolutely ridiculously bad. Would you say that showing it in preview in Safari like this, and then
that's how I've done it for so many years. It just Command P is,
yeah.
I mean, it's so simple. Command P previews in your default browser. I mean, it's just
it will be you find it the most accurate way to represent the different
I do, yes.
mobiles. Okay, good.
Yep. And you know, the one thing that's I mean, I wish Safari would shrink down far enough so I don't need to go into, you know, responsive design mode. But even that is just, if you know the keyboard command, it's Control Command R, right? You know, and this view is very, very good, right? I mean, it's, you know,
also
nice to see here's on mobile.
Shrink Safari even more if you want to. Get Safari as small as possible. I mean, get out of the responsive mode, and open your bookmarks.
Open your bookmark?
Oh.
Oh, brilliant, Davide.
Nice.
Good job, buddy.
You got a free stock too?
Davide gets the gold star for the day.
Yeah.
Nice one.
You know, if you shrink the browser from the bottom too, all the way up, and then open your bookmark bar, and go from the, it makes
Don't design websites for this view, please.
I'm just going for a gold star too, man.
Not orange.
Yeah, make it more orange, man.
More orange. Always more orange.
Okay, thank you very much. This is like a nice overview of all the different ways you can approach it.
Okay. Okay, here, one more thing for fun. I know you were potentially scared of that class that we added to this span. Okay, I'll show you how we can get rid of that if you really wanted to. Okay, so last bit here. Okay, so let's go up here. I'm going to paste that in. The class is now gone. There's no more scary class. Right, but now all our styles for that little segment are gone. Right, because we were styling them off that class. Okay, so hopefully it doesn't scare you to add a class to this header, right?
No,
so
I add class. I'm fine with classes. I've used classes a lot.
Okay, cool. But I just for fun, it's a similar thing. Remember how we did the header, my header space small?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is the same thing. All I'm going to do is I'm going to put the class from the header, which in this case is subtitle. I'm going to do space span. Okay, and that's the same thing. Okay, because in this header, right? I have my header here, and then I'm going to target the span inside of it. Okay, so that works as well. If you didn't want to, but I just think if you're okay with putting in the little class inside the span, just makes life a little bit easier. Where is that? I think it's this one. Okay, so, but what's nice is this particular code, subtitle span, actually it works whether or not you have the class or not. Okay, but let's go back and put it back in, because when I send this off to people, I think this will be the nice way to go about it. Cool. That was fun. Actually, I had a couple support tickets this week about positioning, and I was like, you know what? I need to do a better video on the position swatch. So yes. I think that was a pretty decent explanation there.
Starting with the extremely simple way and approach it step by step, and then
how I explained it right now, was that good?
Yes, but without going into the code, just simply stick to what stacks you use, what you need to. What you need swatch you need to create, how to apply it.
Sure.
Simple, without going into the code or anything like that. So
Okay.
that'd be great.
Perfect.
I have a question, Joe.
Yeah.
How do you, I assume you have some automation going on to make your stacks icons. Are you doing that with Affinity or what are you doing?
For like foundation?
No, for like all the different size icons you need for your stack.
Oh, yeah. I have like a Ruby script, I think that just generates them off one. But you could easily do that with Affinity as well. So yeah, Affinity, because in Affinity you can export multiple sizes, and you can just and then export all the sizes you need, and it'll name them the names you need as well. I did do that for a long time, but I've kind of automated that into my old stack build tool now.
Okay.
Oh, another I actually created a workflow using, do you have that what's that app from Flying Meat? Batcher, oh.
Retro batch.
Retro Batch, thank you. Retro Batch. This would be a great way to do that. Because you can just take one image that's 512 and just say, generate these 6 images that I need. This would be the way to go. And if you want it, this is a great image automation tool.
Cool. I'll look into that then. Retro Batcher.
Let's see. There was some chat, some things in the chat. Is it appropriate to ask if RDB will be usable with Stacks? I assume, Michael, you're talking about RapidWeaver 9 and Stacks 5. So I've yet to talk about any of that on a live stream. And so RapidWeaver 8 and Stacks 4 will continue to work indefinitely. Okay, so that your current setup will work for years to come. I don't expect that to not work for at least 2, 3, or even more years. Okay. Now, new things coming down the pipe that I should say, everything I'm about to say is stipulation. We don't have Stacks 5 yet. Not even I do. Nobody has RapidWeaver 9 yet. So all this is coming down the pipe. However, Stacks 5 will not work in RapidWeaver 9. Okay. RapidWeaver 9, it has decided it's going to create this new competing thing called Elements. And I will not be shipping my products for RapidWeaver 9 Elements either. But Stacks 5 is in the work. I've actually seen it functioning. I have nothing that I can show you, but I have seen it. And it is a standalone app. And what is amazing is, if you like your current Stacks interface, Stacks 5, the standalone app, will feel very at home for you. Okay. It will be like nothing changed. You'll be able to shut down RapidWeaver 8, launch Stacks 5, and continue your work just like you were yesterday. Okay. So that's a good thing. All of my products and every other Stack developer is supporting Stacks 5. There are a very small number, I think currently only one, that has decided to support RapidWeaver 9 Elements, okay, to my knowledge. So that's that. There's a lot of other drama going on in the background that I'm not going to go into right here. If you'd like to check, I've posted forums. There's an FAQ on the community as well, and I'm happy to answer any other questions that I can. But hopefully that kind of gives you guys a little overview. Any questions on that? Nobody? Okay.
Wait for it to come out.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, it is
just a quick one, Joe. Did you
Yes.
spend the $800 you saved on the wine, or some of it?
Oh. Yeah. So what he's talking about, if you guys didn't read my last newsletter from yesterday, is I changed my alternator in my car and I saved myself $800. So yes, I did spend a little bit on that wine, actually. Yes, I did. Thank you very much. Yeah. Let's see.
Apothic's good.
Yes, Apothic wine. It's pretty yummy. They're actually pretty local to me. They're in Modesto, California, which is like 40 minutes from me. So yeah. Although sadly they don't have any sort of like winery that I can actually go visit. So that would have been cool. But anyway. Okay, some other, let's see. She might be trying to say, oh, let's see. Google, for example, HTML breaks. Okay, yep. Bill's talking about that. Before we go, I have a total CMS question. Oh, that James. Why don't you go ahead and ask your question, James?
Well, my question is just what I wrote. The question is it the total CMS ID that allows you to have multiple blogs within the same page of a website?
Yes. So you can create as many blogs as you want. And the key to that is the ID. So you just give your blog a different ID and you magically have a different blog.
So if I have 5 separate authors, each author will have their own total CMS ID.
That's correct. Yeah, you could definitely do that. So yeah, that, I know last week we were helping you, creating these filters by author.
Correct.
But you know what? It could just be easier to create 5 different blogs.
That just seems like the easier way to do it.
Yeah, that is a very valid thing. I guess some side effects of doing that would be there would be no way to have a single view, a single grid of all the events, because you were creating events, right, for each of these people.
Right.
So, you wouldn't be able to have a consolidated view of everyone's events that's intermixed. You could have a blog list on top of a blog list and kind of make it somewhat look like it's a single view, but not really, right? Does that make sense?
Could you create a blog that creates an aggregate, like a calendar of all of their events?
So, but then that would mean that you'd have to like add each event twice, right? Because you'd have to add it to this aggregate one and then add it to their individual one. So I'm not sure
So that doesn't filter. So you wouldn't create a blog that allows you to filter upcoming events by date only.
You can do that with tags, can't you? Or dates.
Or tags.
Yeah, but not across different blogs. So let me back up. So he's creating a blog, everyone, that has events. I believe it's for a church, correct, James?
Yes.
Okay. And there's 5 potential authors, people that are going to be creating these events. And on the Hangout last Friday, we helped him figure out how you can, each author is going to have their own, they can only edit and view their own events. So we showed him how you can create filters so that the author can only access their stuff. Okay. Using basically each author, there's 5 of them, would have their own total CMS login, and that login is filtered by their author ID. Okay. And that would definitely work. And that would give you a unified grid. So you can, display all the events at once, or display, the next 10 events or whatever. Right. And then you can also filter it by, author. But, it does have a slight complexity on the back end, where you have to create multiple, pages for each author. But if you have multiple blogs for each author, you still have to do the same thing. Right. So now that I'm speaking about this all out loud, it's about the same amount of work. So you're not really saving anything other than maybe the complexity of having that filter in your brain, is simpler if it's just this person has this blog, this person has this blog, this person has this blog, right? I can see how that concept is simpler, but the drawbacks, I think, could be greater. Because at this point, let's say on the homepage, you wanted to show the next 20 events, regardless of who the author was, that you wouldn't be able to do that if each author had their own dedicated blog. Does that make sense?
I think you lost me on the last bit.
Okay, so so let's say on your homepage you want to have a grid, a blog list that lists out your next 10 events.
Correct.
Okay. If all of the events are inside the same blog, that is like a piece of cake.
Right. It's easy to filter it that way. However, if I have 5 separate blogs created, it's going to be much more difficult.
Yeah. What you would have to do, you'd have to have a blog list for each author and then be like, here's the next 10 events for Mary. Here's the next 10 events for George or whatever, the other people are. Right.
So the way we
so you
talked
wouldn't
about-
get a cohesive view. It would be, they kind of be stacked on top of each other, which wouldn't really be great.
So the first way by author with the same CMS ID is the best way to do it.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Because that's ideally what we want, is the best way to do it.
Yep. That is the best way to do it.
Perfect. Thank you, sir.
No problem. So to run Total CMS, you'll need Stacks 5. So Mike asked me if you need, no, so Total CMS will run in Stacks 4 and Stacks 5, but Total CMS will not support RapidWeaver 9 elements. So hopefully that answers your question, Mike. None of my stacks will support RapidWeaver 9 elements right now.
Joe,
yes.
Is there a limit to the amount of total CMS fields on a page?
So Gaston had an issue today where on his admin side, this is mostly on the admin side. So and he had guesstimate how many fields you had on your page. Just take a wild guess. I don't know.
I think like 50 plus.
Okay. So at some point, his server decided to sporadically not display when he logged into the admin area. Not every admin field was getting populated with the content from the server. Okay. So what's going on is whenever you log into your admin area, in the background, Total CMS in your browser is connecting and querying Total CMS on the server and saying, give me this header. Okay, thanks. Give me this image. What's the status of this toggle? Give me this blog list. Give me, so basically for every single admin area you have in your admin area, or every admin input or whatever you want to call it, is queried on page load. And he had 50 to 100 of them on the page. And so that means every time you load the admin, it's creating simultaneously 50 connections to your server saying, give me all the data. And his server was going, right? Basically, that's the technical term for it.
Yeah.
And now, if you looked in the browser console, he saw something like server resource limits reached or something like that. Okay. So that gives us a clue. His server was getting overloaded. Okay. And so the solution, there's two solutions here. Okay. You break your admin page up into multiple pages so that when you load a page, less resources are loaded. Okay. A lot of times people will, they'll break their admin page up into like tabs or an accordion, and they'll have they think, oh, it's nicely organized. Right. But, because, I have 10 tabs and each tab has 20 things. Well, all of a sudden you have 10 tabs, each has 20. You're like, that's 200 connections. Right. So break some of that stuff up into different admin pages. If you really didn't want to do that, another thing you could do is just get a more expensive server. Because the server was getting overloaded. I see this mostly with shared hosting accounts. I don't see it too often with VPSs, but it doesn't say it's not going to happen. Right. Because some servers just can't handle that connection, especially on shared hosting.
So Joe, a question on that admin thing. When you speak to that, is that sort of like what you were speaking to the other day when you have one person who has one really long web page that goes on and on and on? In that, if you're doing the same sort of thing on the admin side's calling for all of that information to be preloaded in advance. And that's just
and it'll
causes the server to crash or just
exactly.
Hey, stop! You're asking for too much all at once.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. And that sort of is what happens when you do a one when you do a really long web page without breaking it up into the containers like you had mentioned. Yes. Or
Yes.
sections.
Although, I mean, in that case, browsers limit requests of like images and things of that nature to 6 at a time, so that it doesn't, quite, you should never get that to on an active live web page. The way Total CMS works in the background, it doesn't function like that. Browsers don't limit those types of requests. Okay. Like they do images. So the browser just allows, if you have 50, it just goes, you asked for 50, here's 50, let's go get it, right? And yeah, that just can overwhelm the server.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So yeah, the structure is basically, I know a lot of people basically mirror their admin side mirrors their content side. So like they'll have, if you have CMS areas that are just for the homepage, have an admin page for your homepage. And then if you have stuff that's just for the about page or the contact page, have admin pages for those pages as well, right? So, basically mirroring your admin side to your content side. That would, eliminate this, and I think that's a logical separation as well.
Sorry, Jay, what did you say that batch size thing was called?
Retro batch.
I can't find it.
It's
retro batch.
flyingmeat.com. It's the same developer that makes the Acorn app. Flyingmeat.com.
All right.
I remember I had it. Like, does it require a license? Because I just downloaded it, but I remember I bought it.
Yeah, it requires a license. They have 2 versions, a regular and a pro version. I bought the pro version, but I don't think you really need it.
Can I confirm my answer on the data store that I was asking about on the community page about Total CMS and data store?
Oh, that was you, man. You're looking like a gangster on your community logo. Dang. I was like, who's this jet?
Yeah, that's me. It was my mask. I was out wearing my mask. Yeah, that's me. I gotta change that photo now. But so I was trying to figure out if there was a easy way to get survey information, something from a form into a CSV file on the server. And I really like the Foundation 6 forms are pretty good, exactly what I want, but there's no easy way to get them into a CSV file.
So 2 things. So you said data store doesn't, you like data store, but data store doesn't have like some of the form options that Foundation 6 does, right? So do I have better forms planned in Total CMS 2? Yes.
Of course.
Most likely prior to that, though, prior to Total CMS getting shipped, I may ship the next version of Post Office, which I think will have a CSV population tool. And Post Office is going to morph into something different than what it is now. Currently, Post Office actually has forms, and then you can submit to stuff. The next version of Post Office is going to be it's going to be form actions for Foundation 6 forms. It will support any other form, but there'll be actions that you can add. So adding to a SQL database that people have been wanting for a long time with Foundation 6. And then obviously integrating with things like MailChimp and ConvertKit and things like that. And then also something like populating a CSV file.
Yep. Is that before? Is that after the animations, but before Total CMS? Or...
you know what? I really want to get. I don't want to make any promises. Because I really do want to get Total CMS 2 done. So and I have said multiple times that once I get Drift out the door, I'm all in deep work on Total CMS 2. Because I really want to have a beta by the conference this year.
Good, because I watched all of the videos from the 2017 conference on Total CMS, and they were really good. And I'm looking forward to probably need to do the same thing for if you can get them, ready for this next year, that'd be great.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I'm hoping to get it for the conference this year. I want to get hopefully a beta out by then. That's my goal.
Yeah. I spent the whole weekend watching all the videos.
Cool.
Excellent. Getting ready to buy the Mercury Davide.
Oh, nice.
Oh, good. That's a good one.
You got a lot of Joe this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Davide, if you had said
Joe.
if you had said to that instead of like, no, that's a good one. If you had said, oh, that's one of my most disappointing products, that would have been pretty weird.
No, yeah, I don't get that. It's shit. So just the homepage, all the rest is fake.
Yeah, there you go.
Let's see. Oh, someone asked a question. Let's see. Could I get an opinion on how to make a better summoning look better? It's the critter link here. All right. Someone wants some feedback on this page. Let's share my screen here. Okay. So
If you click on that critters link, oops.
Oh, this link here.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it's not.
What about?
showing up.
Yeah. What menu is this now? That's an accordion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Davide?
What about a vertical drop down so that when you hovered over critters, it just came out over here?
Oh,
Drop down menus can be vertical as well. So if we go to nationstacks.com/demo, let's go to navigation.
Anyway, Andrew, I really like what you've done with Miro there. I think it's a perfect way of using Miro. Like those big pictures, they're beautiful. It's great.
It's a great design, Davide. I sort of love working with it.
Thank you.
What do you think about this? I mean, that kind of solves.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
Because
So that just uses the drop down menu in Foundation 6, and there's just a checkbox in there that says make it vertical, and there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'll have a play around with that.
Yep. One caveat is drop down menus. They're a little funky on mobile devices, so you might want to, if you're going to go with the vertical drop down, you might want to morph that into an accordion on mobile instead.
Well, Nero uses two different. There's a menu for mobile devices and another one for desktop.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
It's gonna have, yeah,
perfect.
He won't have that problem.
Cool.
Yeah, it's what you were saying earlier, Joe, with the two different headers. If you just use visibility to do the two different areas, same sort of thing.
And some stacks, I actually think most of the menu stacks, because I know a lot of people would want to do that. I think there's even a visibility baked into the menu. Yeah. So you don't even need a visibility stack for menu. It's baked into the menu as well. Okay. There's a few things that I think are common, things that you're going to want to do. I think containers, columns, and menus, maybe a few other odds and ends, have the visibility setting baked in. And these are all, they have the same exact settings as the visibility stack. So cool. Does that help you out?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. Let's see. Okay. Do we have access to the conference link? Yeah. So James, the conference, if you've got a ticket before, you can always access all of your all the videos at the website. So just go to summit.weavers.space.
Oh, summit.weavers.
Yeah. And then you can just go to replays, and yeah, you can play everything here. You can filter by the category, either by year or the various topics. You can also go to speakers and view all the talks for particular speakers. A few guys like Brett, you want to definitely ignore.
I definitely would. I ignore myself, and I can 100. I can say with absolute certainty that my family also ignores me.
Like Brett docs are the only ones with negative comments.
It's true, yeah.
There's not even a dislike button, and yet you got the most dislikes.
It's true, yeah. You know, I sometimes I don't know how I live with myself, but then I just like, oh, no shame.
Yeah, there you go.
I love this mocking community.
Yes,
That's right.
like a bunch of children.
Yes. Lucky enough, we cannot throw food at each other.
Oh, I know. Geez.
Oh, I don't know if that's like good. I think it would be better if we could, honestly.
Sounds
Okay.
like a stack.
There you go.
Right.
Sweet. Well, guys, any other questions? We're a little bit over, but if you have any other questions, I'd be happy to dive in and do anything. Last call. Okay. Well, okay. Today, I forgot to mention, I should have started with this. Today is May the 4th, so May the 4th be with you all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Star Wars shirts.
There we go. May the 4th be with you. And I did something cool for Star Wars Day.
Yeah.
Okay. And so here, let me show it off a little bit. Here.
Relation.
You started a war in space.
Yeah. So as you know, I am working on Drift. I'm not going to give a full-blown demo on Drift, but I did create a Star Wars demo using Drift. So let's see. Oh, watch now. It's not going to work. Oh, there it goes. So there we go. It's just some warm
There you
text,
go.
but there we go. I should have typed something really nice for you guys, but whatever. But we get a
You
cool
should've.
Star
You
Wars
should've.
effect.
I would have enjoyed something like really dark and unsettling. It's slow scrolling text. Like so,
It needs to be yellow with or black with yellow letters.
So I heard
Yep, I
someone
should've done
talking about
black with yellow
Apple back
letters.
there.
Yeah, no, sorry, this is Donna. I was just gonna say that Apple has a little video on it on how to make sound, how they used I don't know, SoundForge, I guess, or whatever it's called. It's a pretty neat video.
Oh, really? I'm gonna go
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh,
Wait,
that's
where,
cool.
where is this video? I missed it.
Apple.com.
Apple, go to apple.com
Uh-huh.
and
Oh,
it's
that's
their
awesome.
front, they changed their front page.
Oh, really?
Hear the
So they get-
Force. Oh, okay.
That's cool.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Learn
it's
how the
pretty cool.
pros and Skywalker sound, push the limits. Oh, cool. Interesting.
I think they're having a webinar tomorrow too, next week or something like that on sound, on using their
Oh my
sound software.
goodness. I mean, what a thing to be able to like say, like the sound was all mastered and engineered on Macs. Like for Star Wars, like just one of the biggest movie franchises ever.
Yeah.
It's pretty. Wow, I like how it's all black and white here. Just a little.
Yeah, that's
scrolling
really
through. I gotta
nice.
Watch this.
I know. It's a short loop and I can't stop watching it.
Yeah, it's cool.
I love how that X-Wing just flies in. It's so nice.
Cool. Well, thanks,
All
guys.
right.
I think we're gonna call it quits. I gotta go pick up my kids from school.
You do? Do you? You don't have to.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, everyone. Jody, thank you for pushing the limits again. I appreciate that. And hopefully we'll see some of you guys on Friday where we do these hangouts, but like a lot longer and a lot more childish.
Nice.
Bye,
Take care,
everybody.
everyone.
Guys.